So if there would be a solar hall of fame, you should be in it.
Possibly.
Yeah. Because we're a young industry, most people who work in the Australian solar industry have been working for it for less than a decade. So when you meet somebody who's actually been working in the industry for many decades, then it's time to find out about the early years. I'm here with Geoff Stapleton, and Geoff has been in the solar industry for a long time. How long?
Well, I specialised in it at university 40 years ago this year.
So if there would be a solar hall of fame, you should be in it.
Possibly.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people that should be in it. I ended the industry working in 87 because there wasn't much of an industry in 81 when I left uni. Yeah.
I joined when we had 4 megawatts as installation capacity per year, which was about 2006, and we looked at a 10% growth, and we were excited.
I know 75 was 250 kilowatts.
Wow. So you've basically been there right from the year dot.
In 87, you had BP Solar and SolarX here in Australia. They were the two factories. If they were doing 4 megawatts a year each at that stage, that would have been big, yeah.
So what happened to those Australian-made solar panels?
Two things happened. One, firstly, was BP and SolarX merged. BP Oil bought Amoco Oil. Amoco Oil and SolarX. So then it became the one factory. And then once there was only one, that actually opened the door. So come 2000, we started getting more manufacturers coming into Australia, selling. And then obviously with the growth of Chinese manufacturing and everything that happened there, BP Solar died about 2010, 11. They pulled out of the market then. All the early days was solar. Shell, they're still around. Total's still doing it.
So you're saying that in the early days, actually, the oil companies
owned all the solar companies. Yep.
Well, why was that?
In the oil crisis, they decided they better have their fingers in other technologies.
So what's the biggest change you've seen in the industry?
Just the rapid growth of grid-connected solar. You mentioned Martin Green before. In 94, he was talking about $1 a watt. We always said that would never happen in our lifetime. It's only in the last 10 years that barrier's been broken.
A solar panel normally gets priced at the price per watt. So if it's a 200-watt solar panel and it's $1 per watt, that means the panel costs $200. And in the early days, it was $1.50. It was at one stage, I think, $4 a watt, $5.
When I was selling in the 90s, it was $10 a watt.
So if you had a 100-watt panel, you pay $1,000.
The 75-watt panel was the biggest panel, $750.
You had a $750 cost for a 75-watt panel. You now have a 380, 390, even 400-watt panel. Yeah. So you're looking at $120 for a 400-watt panel. You were looking at $750 in the olden days for a 75-watt panel.
Yeah, in the old days, the market was off-grid, standalone, and you basically used to tell the customer $10,000 a kilowatt hour. By the time you took your modules, your battery, inverter into account, in the small couple of kilowatt an hour a day system that people were putting in, you're talking $20,000, $30,000.
And now you can get them as little as...
Yes, yes, it's good.
$3 or $4 grand, is it?
Yeah, that's right. And that's why, like with your grid market, I work a lot internationally, and it's just revolutionised that market. Like Uganda's doing one company was doing 20,000 systems a month of 20 watt. The systems were 20 watt. But what they could do with 20 watts now with LED lights, LED TVs, they're 8 watts, is what you used to have to use a 400 or 500 watt system for. Because I'm still a great lover of off-grid. PNG, 9 million population, electrified's only 1 million. Right in our next door neighbour is 8 million people with no electricity.
You're running GSES.
Yes.
What does that do?
We actually first formed it to take our expertise overseas. So we went over and started working with small companies. We were all very much involved in the early days of the industry. We were involved with getting the accreditation scheme up and running, standards and the training. And when I was sitting in Sri Lanka having a beer and telling the people what we did in Australia, they said, well, could you help us here? So we've been working with the Ugandan government setting up a quality assurance framework for off-grid systems.
Now, if renewables is needed by the world and we get bigger and bigger at it, wouldn't that also in some way mean that the Chinese influence over the economic benefit of many countries will grow?
Potentially. I think they're getting that influence in not just our industry, in many industries at the moment. India will get there.
India?
They're doing a lot with manufacturing. One might be the hare and the other one might be the tortoise in 50 years' time.
The race is on!
Do you think we'll ever get panel manufacturing back into Australia?
I would like to think we would. You might get to where you might assemble modules again. We, just like so many other industries that have just, a lot of manufacturing in Australia has gone offshore. So we're not the only industry that's happened to.
Yeah.
We all know our biggest problem is very strong coal lobby. Because I've had to live with that for 20 years, working overseas. We didn't sign Kyoto, so I was coming from the bad boy country. So I've spent 20 years coming from the bad boy country, and our governments have never assisted. Study what Germany did, and they've got an industry now that's bigger than ever their coal industry ever was. 2004, they started calling the industry together and said, how can we export around the world?
In terms of the government policies and all that, you generally believe that the coal lobby held us back?
Oh, very much so.
This is coal. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared.
The Treasurer knows the rule on crops.
It's coal.
They've always been very strong, and you still see it today. This government has been criticised by America, even Boris Johnson. I always find it ironic when I drive through up the Hunter Valley, and there was a big banner there saying how ugly wind was. And behind that banner, all you saw is miles and miles open cut coal fields. I'm going, a little bit silly putting up something, and that's what we've had to deal with. This extremely strong, hypocritical thing of what they do. So
Oh, well, we're talking to politicians.
yes.
Wow, Geoff Stapleton, what a guy. Traveling the world, teaching about solar to the third world, and at the same time implementing local standards and technical guidance. I love him.
Want more energy answered? Visit yourenergyanswers.com for quality energy products, tools and calculators, and find your quality local installers. Please support the channel by liking the video, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell, and check out all our other videos. You're still here?